I was gonna say, actually, you should probably cut that out there because it's not like it's not an open. We do these things like kind of discreetly. We don't, not like it's not illegal. It's not illegal, but like it's not like I mean, I haven't actually ever said the company I work for's name on here.
I don't remember. I always just say Goldman Sachs to pick up Goldman. I think that everyone thinks my best friend is a really successful banker.
Yeah, that's cool, but
whoops. What does he do? I don't know. I think he works at Goldman Sachs. What's funny about that is that's like that'd be a dope job, but also you're not sure if that is his job.
You know, the thing is, I'll just cut around it to where the mystery really sets in.
Okay.
So we're all going to wonder what Taylor's job is and what movie we're referring to the entire time. What's up, Internet, and welcome to your Obligatory Movie Podcast, a show where three 20-somethings come together to talk about movies as a flimsy excuse to talk to each other. As always, I'm your buddy, your friend, your pal, your aviator, John Romo, and I'm joined by the Chippendale of Cinema, Taylor Dvorsky, and Trace Sever.
Was that a sunglasses joke?
Yeah.
What the doof
Yeah, it was a sunglasses joke.
I was like, is he making another like pilot doof? Does he, you already did one?
That's what I thought too. I thought this was another airplane goof, but this week's movie has nothing to do with airplanes.
I started the opening before I wrote something down for this week. I could have done...
And I assume that aviators are the only brands of sunglasses that you know, or could think of off dome?
Yeah. I'm have time to think about more sunglasses types, but I don't know them. Big ones.
You could have said like I'm whatever your whole spiel is. You're rowdy boy.
I could have said your hot rod.
I'm your Ray-Ban. That one's not very good.
Damn it! I should have said hot rod, but we're already through it. And all this commotion is of course in reference to They Live, the 1988 John Carpenter film that we will be discussing at the second half of this show, because each week we pick one film to talk about, to deep dissect, whether that be Up in the Air or Leprechaun or whatever other movies we've done so far. In each week they are tangentially related to the previous week's film. So I don't remember, how did we get to They Live?
Trace?
Was it from Mac and Me?
No, it was from the Goonies.
We got there from the Goonies.
Oh, okay.
And Jeb Stuart Adams, who I did a little more research on by research I mean I looked at his Letterboxd page. He has 6 acting credits, all from the 80s era of movies. And so I forget who he was in the Goonies, but he's in They Live as homeless kid, uncredited. And that was our connection for this week.
Was he the kid in the green jacket?
I don't know.
A fun extra aside.
Can I implore a new rule for these connections?
No.
Fuck y'all.
What's the rule though? I'll entertain it.
We should be able, going forward, to recognize the person in each movie.
No. I disagree.
They might change. They could have gone through a horrible traffic wreck and had to get some plastic surgery. I think that's like...
We can make exceptions in those cases, but I want you to still be able to clearly spot the person in the movie.
But what about yours where it was like, your move from Mac and Me to the Goonies was just that there were 80s family movies?
Yeah, it was just genre.
Yeah.
I mean... you may not have been able to pick out.
But they also clue Taylor
Dvorsky. Listen to me right now.
Listen to me right now. Okay, great. You were saying?
You may not be able to pick out Jeb Stuart Adams from the Goonies or in They Live, but he is in both of them. He is a connection. He is a link from the Goonies to They Live. He was in both.
You know, I was going to do this bit where I just go, this is probably the most anyone has talked about Jeff Steven Adams ever, and I was going to purposely forget his name, but then 2 seconds had passed and I forgot what his name was. But I know it's not Jeff Steven Adams.
It's
Jeb Stuart Adams.
Jeb Stuart Adams.
Okay.
I hope he's doing all right. Clearly didn't make it very far in Hollywood.
You got to put them in the SEO tags for this episode because I bet there's a big Jeb community out there.
I'll put them in the tags. We'll get a really big spike on this episode from all the Jeb fans.
A fun thing that I noticed, and it could have also been the connection, apparently Roddy Piper, the lead actor in the film, is in the music video for Good Enough by Cyndi Lauper from the Goonies soundtrack, which was the closing song to last week's episode.
Oh, so that's okay.
There's another connection, Taylor.
Wow.
So suck it.
Okay. Hey.
Don't
be rude. Did you know that Jeb Stuart Adams is I guess now a RE/MAX real estate agent?
Wait, really?
Yes.
What like does it tell you what county or anything?
No.
Do you know it's him?
We got to find this out. Yeah, how do you know it's the same Jeb Stuart Adams? Could be. There's probably countless Jeb Stuart Adams.
Well, his credit, I was on his IMDb page, which has him credited as choice friend number 1 in the Goonies.
Yes. Correct.
Wait, hold on. Does he play a RE/MAX real estate agent in a movie? Are you just getting confused?
No, it says on his IMDb, his trivia page, did you know a RE/MAX real estate agent? That's all it says. It doesn't say he is it just says a RE/MAX real estate agent.
He definitely had to put that trivia in himself. Like, who the fuck would just go to IMDb for Jeb Stuart Adams and be like, this guy's a real estate agent?
You know, I would love if he...
shit, he was actually in a Samuel Goldwyn movie. That's like the header of his trivia, his IMDb page. He was in Once Bitten, coming this fall from Samuel Goldwyn.
What's Samuel Goldwyn?
Is that like Goldman Sachs?
You know, I think I have a friend that works at Goldman Sachs, but I'm not sure.
I would love it if Jeb used his homeless character role in his slogan. I once was homeless in a movie, but I'm here to make sure you aren't. Buy my homes.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
It's pretty good, but something more zippier, Put some Hollywood spice on it. Jeb knows it.
Something a little quicker.
Long live Jeb. Anyway.
Oh, wait. Once Bitten is on Amazon Prime. And do you know this movie has Jim Carrey?
Oh, wow. So we could get to Bruce Almighty pretty quick.
I've actually... it's my turn to pick this week, and I've got 2 choices for you boys.
Go on.
What are they?
Okay, so this one's a longer sort of tangent, and Trace has already seen the movie recently, but I figured we could dive deeper into it. So, the video game character Duke Nukem, one of his common catchphrases is, I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum. He gets that phrase from Roddy Piper in They Live. Another phrase he also gets is, and I'm getting this very wrong, but you'll know what I'm talking about. Take this boomstick, or all hail to the king, baby.
Okay.
One of those one of those things, and those are taken from Ash in Army of Darkness. So Army of Darkness is one of the options.
Okay.
One of the options is Army of Darkness, which
Yes.
Trace admittedly talked about last week.
Very interesting.
It's an option.
But we could all three. We kind of all three talked about it a little bit, right?
I've never seen it. I've never seen the second Evil Dead, and I barely liked the first one.
Fuck you. Shut up.
That's a very interesting way to connect those movies, by the way.
Yeah, I
enjoyed it. I liked it.
I look for deep cuts. And my other cut is obviously I had to do something with a wrestler. And there were multiple options like Jesse the Body Ventura's in Predator and Andre the Giant's in The Princess Bride. 2 movies I have not seen. And in a movie I have seen, there's Kevin Nash, and he's in Magic Mike, which I kind of wanted to see. But a movie I've been dying to see that Kevin Nash is also in, and I have seen this movie. I just really want to see it so I can show my wife. It's John Wick. Kevin Nash is in that movie. So,
Ooh.
And let me tell you one thing, Taylor, listen up good. John Wick has to do with revenge and a dog. You know what other movie has to do with revenge and dogs? Scooby-Doo.
Oh, true.
Well, see, I don't like this idea. I don't like this idea that we're picking movies to tee us up to get to this movie. I like this. I think, if anything, these roads to movies, for instance, our road to Scooby-Doo, it's about the fucking journey.
Yeah, but eventually we gotta get to Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, but do we need to get to Scooby-Doo on episode fucking 8? I don't think so. I want Scooby-Doo to be a goal of the podcast, a long-term goal of the podcast.
Well, we wouldn't be getting to it on episode 8. This is episode 7, so John Wick would be episode 8, so Scooby-Doo would be episode 9.
That's plenty of time to get to Scooby-Doo.
I'd like to hit double digits before we get to Scooby-Doo.
Jay, it's fruitless because if we did John Wick, Taylor would just pick 2 other movies for us. He wouldn't give us Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, also, you already told me that you're teeing it up. That's the thing. I don't like that. I don't like that you're trying to force an opinion on me.
I will say this feels like one of those classic road trips where someone wants to go get donuts, but the other guy's like, fuck you and where you want to get donuts. We're going to go get Waffle House. And Scooby-Doo is my donuts, and every fucking movie Taylor wants to pick is Waffle House.
Waffle House is good. Is that like a dig at Waffle House?
No, I've never had Waffle House in my life.
Okay.
Well,
they're very big out here.
they're big out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there are too many Waffle Houses out here.
There are 2 in this town on the same street.
I'm more of an IHOB fan. That's my play.
Yo, the IHOP on Sunset Boulevard, like close to my apartment, still has still rocking the IHOB logo. They haven't given up on that joke yet.
It's still funny.
Did y'all see that Dunkin' Donuts changed their name too?
Oh yeah, it's just Dunkin'.
To
It's
Dunkin'.
clean. Drop the donuts, it's cleaner.
Heard about it on This Sweet Bim Bam.
I saw too that in some instances they're even shortening that to DNKN, as if there's some sort of fucking donut app, which I kind of love. I love that.
Speaking of app acronyms, my Bank of America app is just BOFA on my iPhone. And so I have to laugh every time because BOFA. Do y'all know BOFA?
No.
Can't say I do.
BOFA these nuts.
He fucking got us! Damn!
Thank you. I didn't mean to get you guys. I really thought y'all probably had heard BOFA before, but I took it as an opportunity to get y'all.
The thing is, and maybe it's a sign that I'm getting older. I don't know, not so hip with the teens anymore as I approach my mid-20s. But I had to take a couple passes mentally at that before I actually understood what you meant.
There's a new one too. It starts with an F. I'll figure it out and I'll bring it up in the middle of something that we're talking about.
In the middle of what you been watching? The first segment. We did every week.
We didn't even pick what movie we're gonna do.
We haven't picked the movie yet. We still gotta choose. Okay, so wait, we got John Wick and we got what's the other one?
Army of Darkness was the other one.
Okay. Well, see, I've seen both of these movies.
I have too.
But I feel like because we did talk Army of Darkness recently in any capacity, and I'm leaning towards John Wick.
I am also leaning towards John Wick. Just because I feel like I talked to Army of Darkness to a certain extent already, and I would like to revisit John Wick, I guess, because we got the new one coming out. When does John Wick 3 come out? Next year?
Yeah, I think next
Is
year.
it February?
Yeah. So I think I'd like to watch John Wick 1 again.
Awesome, because that's what I set it up as, bitches.
Oh, thank
John
you.
Wick.
I found what I was looking for, by the way. I'm gonna read you guys the Urban Dictionary definition of BOFA because
hold on real quick, Taylor. Also, another way you could connect it is that the Migos, the Atlanta trap trio Migos, have a song called John Wick, in which they talk about John Wick, and you could probably find some other movie reference that they make. You know, really search for your tangents. Like, really find them. It's an art form.
there is a certain amount of skill into connecting the movies sometimes. But let me read this.
I just won't utilize any of your suggestions. I want to do them on my own.
Let me read this to you guys. It's BOFA, the first stage of a verbally transmitted disease. Usually non-fatal and asymptomatic. However, once it progresses to stage 2, which is ligma. Do you guys know what ligma is?
I studied film in college.
Ligma is ligma nuts. It is extremely dangerous.
You fucking got us again! Damn it,
dude.
Stage 3 is incredibly uncommon due to ligma's astronomical fatality rates, and thusly has never been observed in laboratory conditions. That's it. So John Wick is the movie that we'll be discussing next week.
Can't believe he got us.
Twice.
Got him.
Anyway, Trace, what have you been watching this week?
What have I been watching? I'll start off with two of these, and then I guess one of these is something that Taylor also watched, so maybe we'll save it for the end, or we'll let Taylor go next. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
You'll save it for the end.
All right. But I watched two other things. The first thing I watched was called Man Up, and it's from a couple years ago. It has Simon Pegg and Lake Bell. I take it Taylor has heard of this movie.
I have, but continue. I thought you were talking about a different movie at first when I first read this title.
Well, I was not. It's basically just, honestly, really simple with it. It's a really breezy, like, romantic comedy about this girl taking the place of a blind date of a stranger. Like, she runs into Simon Pegg, and he mistakes her for a blind date, and she just runs with it. And it's just this really fun, light and fast and short romantic comedy with two really charming leads and it's just really, it's a really charming watch. Just overall really delightful, really kind-hearted, really, really funny. I had a fun time watching it. I don't really have that much to say about it other than that, but it's a good time. It's a nice, easy watch. What movie were you thinking of, Taylor?
Well, and I thought that I figured if you had seen this, it connected well with your next pick, which was Game Over Man.
Oh,
the comedy on Netflix from the Workaholics dudes.
Yeah.
You thought that's what it was?
Yeah.
I thought when I saw Man Up, I mistook it for Game Over Man.
I've seen that too. I didn't like that.
It's not distinctly good.
I will say Man Up is mostly good because of Simon Pegg. He kind of elevates most things he's in, but also Lake Bell's really good too. So like really just good casting choice for this movie.
Yeah.
There's one movie, I think it's called What Happened in Vegas with Cameron Diaz and Ashton Kutcher that she's in. She's pretty good in that movie.
I would like to watch that. I remember my mom liked that movie. Just an interesting tidbit. The other movie I watched was a movie I'd never seen before, surprisingly, and it's 1988's Die Hard. I'd never seen Die Hard before, and I was fully prepared to not really get it. Like, I was kind of ready going, and I was kind of like, I guess because we've been like watching movies recently that, or maybe just The Goonies, but like movies from the 80s that have been regarded as classics that did not hold up as well for me as someone that had not grown up with it or seen it years prior. So I was fully prepared to kind of have the same reaction to Die Hard and not really understand why it has gone down as such a cornerstone of American cinema, really. But surprise, surprise, this is actually a great movie, which is like, to me feels like a surprise, but it's like,
I know, it's like, surprise, Die Hard, great movie. Who would have thought
Die Hard's good? Like, there's my hot take. But no, I did really like it. It's like, we don't really get action movies like this anymore, I feel like. It's just like, it takes itself seriously, but it's also like weirdly kind of tongue-in-cheek, but not, it doesn't go overboard and become like meta and start making fun of action movies like something we would get today. Like, it cares about its characters. It's really tightly plotted. Everything in the movie makes sense. Bruce Willis I don't think has ever been better than in this movie. This is literally when I watched this movie and realized how good Bruce Willis can actually be. Because most everything I've seen him in is kind of stuff where he's gotten a little cynical in his old age and has kind of stopped caring. Alan Rickman is fucking incredible in this movie.
Ooh, he's so good.
He's so good in this movie. And just a lot of the dialogue between them is what really makes this movie works. Like, there's some legitimately great one-liners. Great, I think I already said great use of location, but yeah, I love the setting of just this one tower, and that is now I lost my train of thought. Oh, I was gonna bring up that the debate about this being a Christmas movie or not, which has kind of become a meme at this point.
Yeah,
and I was thinking about it during the movie, and I was like, I mean, this isn't really a Christmas movie. Like, it's got a Christmas setting, but
I considered it a Christmas movie.
By the end, I came around and I was like, okay, this is a Christmas movie, mostly because of the use of Christmas songs. Once by the time the movie rounded out, there were several Christmas songs that were used. And by that point, I was like, this can be considered a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it like places itself enough at Christmas time to just be like, okay, this is a Christmas movie, and it makes you aware of that. Yeah, I rewatched this movie recently, in the last several months, because one of my roommates hadn't ever seen it, and this is the first time I'd seen it in several years. But oh no, this movie's still fucking killer.
Yeah.
This movie, it's so fun. It's so fun, but like you said, it's so fun, but it's not, it's tongue-in-cheek, but not overkill. It's just so perfectly balanced. And yeah, I don't think Alan Rickman's ever been better, I would say.
He's so good in this movie. I couldn't believe how good he was, actually. Like, I wasn't expecting that.
He is incredible. Bruce Willis is great. Oh, this movie's just so much. I love this movie. I love Die Hard a lot.
It just, like, it never loses control of itself, really. Like, I feel like happens with a lot of action movies that we get now. Like, there's a lot of, like, class and grace handled with a lot of what happens in this. But it also is, like, you also do get that kind of, like, muscular, like, 80s action movie, like, hero-type lead in Bruce Willis, too. And it's like sweaty and dirty still, but it just never, like, it never gets out of hand, really.
Yeah.
Like, it knows what it's doing. Like I said, it's very tightly plotted. Everything in it makes sense. Yeah. And it's all very kind of relatively down to earth and believable.
Yeah, it's like not an overdone, like, showcase of, like, machismo.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
like it's more contained.
A lot of the characters are actually very, like, humanized during the movie, which I was surprised by. Like, I actually, like, Bruce Willis is a very, like, appealing and sympathetic lead character, which I really wasn't expecting just going into this. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I always had to love a good. I mean, like, tightly contained action thrillers are just something I love.
Yeah,
you know, confine your stuff to one location, and yeah, I mean, Die Hard's obviously one of the greatest.
I am planning on watching the sequels soon.
I have never seen any of the sequels. Well, wait, I've seen Live Free or Die Hard. I have not seen the newest Die Hard.
I've heard that one's fucking awful. But I've heard.
Hey, Trace.
What's up?
Does he swear in this one? Because the only Die Hard movie I seen, he ain't allowed to swear.
Oh yeah, I assume that's Live Free or Die Hard. That one's PG-13.
That's Live Free, Die Hard. It's a good movie though. It's got Kevin Smith and Goofy.
Oh, it does have Kevin Smith. Also, that was such a stupidly neutered moment.
When they cover it up with a gunshot.
Yeah, it's like, this is... Oh, yeah. Okay, that's a whole different thing.
It's the only Die Hard movie I've ever seen.
No, he does swear in this movie.
Ooh.
Yeah, he says the fuck word a few times.
There is some cursing. They do get to curse a little bit in this one.
There's this one great moment where he sends down, like, I guess, I don't remember exactly. It was like a dummy. And he had just killed one of their guys and got one of their guns. So he sends down, like... Was it a Santa dummy or was it just like a dummy?
I thought it was... Oh, I don't remember. But it is, yeah, she has, like, to cross... it wasn't the actual guy, was it?
Oh, shit, was it?
I thought it was the guy he killed.
You know what? It actually was the guy he
killed.
Sends him
down an elevator. Yeah. He's like, I have a machine gun now.
Yeah, on the guy said, I have a machine gun now. Ho, ho, ho. And I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it way more than I expected to, and I'm looking forward to watching 2 and 3 because 2 and 3, it seems like people kind of generally like them still.
Yeah, which one is Samuel joining?
I think that's 3.
Okay,
but
yeah, I haven't seen either of those sequels.
I might talk about one or some of them on next week's show. Let's see what if I don't get too busy this week.
Oh boy!
But I watched one other thing. But we're going to save that because it looks like Taylor also saw it this past week.
Sweet. Me next? Jay next?
Jay next because Jay's just got one movie. So sometimes, guys, I find myself coming up on a Sunday and being like, oh shit, I ain't watched nothing yet. And then I get filled with dread. I'm just like, I don't know, 2 hours is a long time. Do I want to go to a theater? Nah, Netflix got so much. And then I'm flipping through Netflix for an hour. I wish it would just like pick something for me. And what happens when I get in that moment is I see dumb rom-coms. That's my catnip, baby. And I've been wanting to see this film for like 3 years. And I don't know why. So I watched Two Night Stand.
This honestly seems... I mean, I haven't seen this movie, but knowing what I know about this movie, this seems like exactly the kind of movie that you, for no reason, would be like... and wanting to see for a long time. Never getting around to it. But this is the movie that you're just like, man, I really gotta see that at some point. Like, I gotta see this.
Well, Jay, your reasoning, how you ended up watching it was actually the exact reasoning, the exact situation how I ended up watching Man Up. And it was that I wanted to watch something, but everything seemed a little too long. And I wanted something that was kind of easy to watch, and I found
That's how I watched Alex Strangelove last week. So yeah, basically rom-coms.
Yep.
Like, what I wrote in the notes was, I don't know, man. Sometimes I just like to unwind with 90 minutes at 20-somethings doing stuff that 20-somethings do. Like fuck, wet tongue emoji, 3 times.
How much?
No, but it's Miles Teller and Anna Lee, I think is her name, Tipton. The girl from Crazy Stupid Love. It's got Kid Cudi in it. But anyway, that's another one of the reasons I wanted to see it, because I've never seen Kid Cudi act. And I was like, Kid Cudi's in this. Why not?
Is he good?
Yeah, I guess. He feels like he's liking himself in this movie. He's feeling his acting.
Okay.
And I guess, like, at least he is. That's commendable. But Miles Teller and Miss Tipton have a one-night stand, and then it's snowing, and now they have to sit with each other for like 2 more days. And boy, it could get awkward, but it doesn't for them. You know, they learn to talk, have a conversation, and at the end of the day, you got to just open yourself up to a person. Meaningless sex ain't the answer. Gotta just be vulnerable. The more you give, the more you get. You know?
You gotta let God into your life.
Yeah, that's what the whole movie's about. Big old metaphor.
Have y'all seen That Awkward Moment? Also with Miles Teller?
That's another one that is my shit. I love things like that.
Good one with Zac Efron and Michael B. Jordan.
That was a great movie.
And that was like one of the first movies I ever saw, like Mackenzie Davis in too.
It's got Imogen Poots in it.
Damn it! You know what? That Awkward Moment, underrated flick.
That's a great
I could very
movie.
well see myself on another week not knowing what to watch, seeing that and going, well, here we go.
Have you not seen it, Jay?
I have.
Okay, you have
but
seen
I know
it.
I would very much just go, here we go again.
Here we go.
But yeah, that's all I saw. Oh, but I do have 2 things, and one of them is related to Michael B. Jordan. They're not movies I saw, but I just wanted to share 2 movie-related moments. The other day, I was just making some funny movie quotes. I was just saying some shit, and then my wife goes, "Say it like Frank."
Wait. I thought you were trying to quote it like Borat.
My wife.
My wife.
Then my wife goes, "No, now say it like Frankenstein, like like I wanna suck your blood." And I was like, "What? Who is that? Who? Say it like who? Say it like who?" And I just thought that was a funny I'm married moment. But the other one that really fucking got me.
Yeah, that's such a funny I'm married moment.
What an experience only married people have.
Hey, if
What
you're
a
not
uniquely married experience.
Hey, if your relationship is not ordained by some minister, you don't get that joke. Tell you what.
I bet a bunch of you are fucking confused right now.
I don't even know who Frankenstein is.
Where all my married folks at? What?
What, motherfucker?
The other one that I think everyone can enjoy is I was watching that trailer for that for the sequel to Creed, because Creed 1 is my shit. It's good shit, and Creed 2 looks like more of the same. And we were watching the trailer, and she goes, "Oh fuck!" She goes, "Alpha."
What?
It's too funny. He can't say it.
You can't get this out.
We're just watching it, and Michael B. Jordan's talking to Rocky, and she goes, "Wow, Al Pacino's Al Pacino's real old."
Yeah, baby, sure is. But what does that have to do with Rocky?
I just let the trailer finish and just turn to her. Who? Who was in that trailer?
I had something I wanted to add because it reminded me of this. The other day at work, I asked my manager, since we got spooky season coming up, if I could start greeting people into the store in a Dracula voice. Similar, something along the lines of, "Welcome to undisclosed pizza location." Something like that.
You lost the accent when
I
you said undisclosed pizza location.
Welcome to undisclosed pizza location. something along.
That's very Borat. That's almost Borat.
Pretty Borat.
But he looked at me for a second. He stopped and he said, "You can be as weird as you want to be, little buddy." And he walked away. And I just felt very demasculated.
I don't know. He's kind of setting you up, isn't he? How weird do you think you could get?
Yeah, I don't think he was like saying, "Nah, don't do that."
No, I fully believe that he would let me do it, but it's just the fact that he looked at me and called me little buddy.
Oh, wait, how old is your manager?
He's like 28.
17.
28 or something. He's 15 years old. Hey, boss.
Okay, well, are you gonna do it?
Probably. He said he also said as long as you wear some spooky socks too, because I was wearing like funny socks, and I said, "Oh, I do got Halloween socks," and he was like, "Oh,
he is right. He is right. You gotta come hot. You gotta come really sporting the season of the spooks."
He was like, "Of course you do." I was like, "Yeah, I do."
Well, there you go. Oh, I was wondering, what would you guys do if you were stuck in that situation in Two Night Stand? What would you do? Because like, I don't think I'd want to sit in that stranger's household for that long. That's weird. But honestly, I wouldn't find myself in that situation because I'm a good old boy.
Oh, that's true.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, you let God into your life, so you're fine. I mean, yeah, you're good. You found your way. You've seen the holy light, the holy Savior.
I would just marry that person right there.
You've experienced a religious ordained marriage. You're on a one-way ticket to heaven, so you're fine, man. You are golden.
You are on that train.
Now, Trace and I, the heathens. What would we do in this situation, Trace? What would you do?
Well, Jay is right. I would be very uncomfortable with the situation, mostly just because I don't even like spending the night places that are not my house.
Same. I feel like we're family, so I feel like this, and we're very similar. And I feel like our answers are just going to echo each other.
We are very similar people. So these are.
Do you think it would be rude to ask them, "Hey, could you make this more like my house?"
Look, if I'm going to be here for a whole nother day, I just
want to get cozy.
Just want to do it more like my home.
Well, I mean, I would hope that they had some bread, some butter, some cheese.
I love that those were the first things that came to mind.
All the ingredients to make a good grilled cheese. And then, I would just, I guess, I mean, I would hope they had a separate room that I could reside in, I guess. Because I would definitely not want to be like, I would definitely not want to attempt to spend the entire time with them. Like, I hope we would both realize, like, hey, this is a shitty situation. This sucks. We obviously don't want to hang out with each other. I got a separate room. You can go stay in there. It's got a TV. It's got, like, Netflix and stuff. Like, you can just watch some stuff in there.
So you got to get, like, good treatment.
Yeah.
They got to have a lot of perks for you.
My favorite thing is that in this hypothetical situation, Trace is like with the girl, and they're back at her place, and blah blah blah, and it's about to go down, and he goes, "Wait, I'll be right back." And he just starts scoping the entire apartment and goes, "Hey, this is a 1-bedroom. I'm out, man. Sorry. see you later."
What if we get snowed in? I can't just hang out in here with you.
I don't know you.
You got to think of this shit before you get a 1-bedroom.
You got to plan for every emergency scenario.
God damn it.
Wait, what if it was your place?
If they were stuck in my place.
If they were stuck in your place.
I didn't think. Oh, whoa. I mean, it'd be a little bit different. I'd be a little bit more comfortable because it's my stuff and it's my living area.
I couldn't poop.
Yes, you could. I couldn't poop at the other person's place.
I couldn't. No, but what if it's like a real long? I don't need them to know my poop habits.
Sounds like you got to plug them butts, boys. It's gonna be a long winter.
I mean, I guess like it would just be like you can sleep on the couch, I guess. But we're not gonna hang out. I'm sorry. I'm a very
we're just not.
I'm a very introverted person, and we are past the point where we try to pretend to be friends with each other before we fuck. So you can hang out in here. I'll be in my room. And if you need anything, just let me know. Hopefully this will all be over soon.
I'd just be like, "You like Fortnite?"
I've been talking about Fortnite with my girlfriend recently.
She like Fortnite?
No.
Do you like Fortnite?
No, but I was thinking like, man, if I started playing Fortnite, I would not be able to put it down probably, so I can't start playing it.
It's pretty all right.
It's free,
fun.
Isn't it?
I love that it's free.
That's the thing.
Can't put a price on that.
I know. Like, I was sitting there with my PlayStation Store open, and I saw that it was just free. I was like, damn, I could just download this shit right now and start playing it.
You don't even need PSN.
You don't?
No. It's just you can play online.
Taylor, we should actually play Fortnite together.
Wait, you can? You don't even need PSN?
No, we could play squads, bro.
Holy shit.
I don't. What?
Y'all didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that. I assumed that you would have to have PlayStation Plus to like.
No. Let's wrap this shit up so we can play squads.
Oh,
Taylor, what should I watch?
Let's get it moving.
Sounds like we got a podcast to finish. I guess I should text my little brother.
Oh, he can play with us too.
Tell him that his older brother's finally joining the times.
Oh god, my girlfriend's gonna be so fucking mad.
I'm back in with the teens, guys.
You can play on your phone.
I don't like that.
Okay.
I want a console game. I'm a console boy.
Okay.
This week I saw Mandy again. I saw that last night, and then this time theatrically. Pretty much Trace and I kind of talked a lot on this one prior, but second viewing, and this time theatrically confirms for me. Yeah, this is for sure my favorite movie of the year. This movie is fucking awesome, and I have no, like, for me, again, the build up is like really engaging, which I know is a lot of the things some people have taken issue with, but the build up for me is incredibly engaging. The payoff actually worked even better for me the second time. And just visually, this movie needs to be seen theatrically. Like, this movie demands a theatrical experience because it is just so visual, and it's just mesmerizing to see on a big screen like this. And it's really been interesting seeing how well this movie has been doing theatrically despite being released day and date. I've been seeing some articles this week about how the movie almost made $1 million theatrically.
Holy shit.
And how Elijah Wood's production company that produced the movie, Spectrovision, is wanting to petition the distributor to push Nicolas Cage for a Best Acting Oscar.
That'd be incredible.
And a Best Score for Johann, which I can totally get behind.
That would be great if they were able to actually get a nomination.
Yeah, I can actually get behind the score plausibly. Obviously, Nicolas Cage acting thing. I mean, I will say, though, in this movie, because I noticed it even more this time, like, where, obviously in the second half of the movie where it gets insane, the boy does some real capital A acting.
He certainly does.
It's just really insane, really, like, uncaged Cage. And
good one.
Which is great. Like, the stuff he can achieve with his eyes in that way and his facial expressions is insane. And it was so fun to see this with the crowd. Because everyone was so into it. But there's other times, especially in the second or in the first half of the film, and during the pivotal sequence that sparks the revenge, like, just the whole long shots it kind of holds on his face as he's basically watching everything he loves burn. It's actually like genuinely affecting acting, not just like. Which is more what shocked me, because at this point in day and age, I recognize Nicolas Cage as this vessel for, like, just extreme acting. And so this time to really just, like, notice, like, this actual, like, affecting performance, it really, like, took me aback. But he really does great, and Andrea Riseborough is also incredibly good in this film.
I'm excited. I'm excited for Nick Cage to play one of the Spider-Men in the new animated Spider-Man movie. I just wanted to mention that.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that movie. That movie has some good cast.
Yeah,
it's got Pig in it. It's got Pig in it.
That's John Mulaney.
Oh fuck, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And also I really want Panos Cosmatos to make a Hellraiser movie sometime in the near future.
I would hope they would tap him for that. If they were thinking of bringing Hellraiser back.
Yeah, it would just look so good. Yeah, so Mandy reconfirms favorite film of the year. Additionally, this earlier this week, or last week actually, like right after we recorded the last podcast, I saw Assassination Nation theatrically. That is the film. That was actually like the biggest, kind of got a lot of buzz out of Sundance for being like a really like the most expensive pickup of the festival. And it was released wide 2 weekends ago, but it actually kind of like bombed it a little bit at the box office there. But yeah, so I went and saw it, and basically it's about the town of Salem that kind of like basically loses its mind after everyone's phones and private information is hacked and released online, and it's all pinned back to these 4 teenage girls who, and basically the whole town ends up kind of coming after them. The movie, by and large, I would say I kind of thought this was pretty much a massive disappointment. Maybe not disappointment, because I didn't have such high expectations going in. But the movie is entertaining, but probably not. It's not nearly as clever as it likes to think it is, and it really just the problem with this film is it's really a lot slower than kind of the marketing puts on, and I really think that the marketing on this film was so wildly like misleading as far as the kind of movie you were getting, which I can't say that I loved the marketing in the first place, because it really plays up on the most like kind of obnoxious parts of the film and kind of the more obnoxious parts of like the modern millennial culture. But the movie itself and really plays up more like sets you up for more of this like action style kind of purge type thriller. Which really the movie is like not an action film in the slightest. It's a thriller, and it's a thriller that takes a long time to get going. And by the time it does finally build up to its payoff, it ends on such an abrupt note that I don't know, it just kind of feels like you watch something for nothing, and that's kind of what I felt the whole time I watched this movie. It was like, oh, I just kind of sat through this for nothing, really. I will say though, the young director Sam Levinson, he does a great, like, there's sequences here that he directs the hell out of this movie, and he has such a clear and distinct visual style and eye that is engaging for parts of the film. And there's actually one, like, a home invasion sequence near the middle of the film that is like largely told in one take and is actually like an incredible sequence. It's honestly kind of like what I would like to think the first Purge would have been had it like actually kind of been done right. As far as actually being like genuinely a tense, affecting kind of horror piece. So it has like some really good sequences in the middle that are kind of stand out once it like finally starts to kick the plot into gear, but it doesn't pay off effectively, and it just takes over an hour to get there, but it doesn't really reward that, and the build-up itself is not like that satisfying, similar to like a Mandy, which, you know, pays off across the board. Additionally this week, so basically I realized I had a week of full of genre movies and a week full of slow burns. Because also this week, I watched Hold the Dark, the new Netflix film from director Jeremy Saulnier. This, which features Jeffrey Wright as a former, I don't know if you'd say he's an animal wilderness expert, but who is called to a sleepy Alaskan town after a mother, Riley Keough, reports that her son has gone missing and believes he was taken by wolves there have been a string of disappearances in the town from children being taken by wolves. And so he's called up to try to solve the mystery and find her son before her husband, played by Alexander Skarsgård, comes back from fighting overseas. This was one of my most anticipated films of the year because Green Room is one of my favorite films, and I really, really love Blue Ruin as well. So I'm kind of sad to say that this movie was honestly quite the letdown for me.
That's what I've been hearing from a lot of people.
Yeah, it really was. It was quite the letdown. It's and again, similar to Assassination Nation, this is one where I feel like the trailer and the marketing elements definitely sold an entirely different movie. It really plays up these like psychological thriller elements that are in the film. Not to say the film doesn't have them, but the trailer really hones in on them in an aggressive way. And ultimately, the plot setup for this movie really quickly gives way to a much different plot in general. Kind of becomes like a revenge hunt, and not to say that this movie, again, doesn't have some truly, like, standout sequences. It has, like, regardless of this film not being far and away from being his best, like, Saulnier is still an incredible director who has a full grasp on mood and tone, and this movie is genuinely like icy and cold and chilly and is unsettling. It's still got, it's still punctuated by those like brutal blast of violence that he includes, that, can really get at you, and has some standout sequences in those regards, especially a massive gunfight in the center of the film as a centerpiece of the film. Unfortunately, the biggest issue, a lot of the issues in this movie do kind of fall on the screenplay, which is that this is a bit of a lengthier movie. It's over 2 hours, or just at 2 hours, and the scope of the narrative just really never warrants the length of the film. It is just truly like glacially paced, and it feels like such a drawn out film, and it just doesn't. It never quite warrants the length and warrants how slow this is moving. Which again, and not to say, there's a lot of good performance work going on here. Jeffrey Wright, gets kind of actually gets a leading role here, somewhat of a leading role, here. And he does good work with what he's done. Alexander Skarsgård plays a very cold, removed character. Riley Keough is in the film as well. James Badge Dale, who I really like, is in the film as a department sheriff, and kind of the relationship that develops between him and Jeffrey Wright is probably one of the more interesting elements of the film. Yeah, ultimately, like I said, this is one of my most anticipated of the year. Just unfortunately, it kind of ended up being quite the letdown for me.
Oh.
Yeah, I will say I was very disappointed.
I intend on watching this soon, but it does seem long and slow, and that's why I have not yet. That is really the reason I have not turned it on yet.
I was going to aim to watch it this week, too, because I was excited to see it. But after I saw some reactions to it, I think it was your Letterboxd review that I saw. I was like, oh, I'll just wait.
Yeah, it was. I watched it Friday night, like right when it was out, or the first night it was out, and I was very eagerly anticipating it, and it just... Yeah, and it's not to say that I hate the movie, but it's just definitely was very disappointing for me to watch. Maybe in time I will revisit it, but I can't say that'll be soon. Additionally, this week, the one last movie that Trace and I both watched was the new slasher film Hellfest.
Yes, we both saw Hellfest.
So
I am so sorry. Nobody saw what was happening, but I was holding up my cat and making it dance, and that's why I'm laughing.
I did not see that at all.
Yeah, I'm surprised Taylor didn't see it at all.
I didn't. No, because I didn't have I had the internet open, so I didn't have my Stripe window open. So I wasn't actually seeing you guys for a little bit.
Jay saw it. He was having fun.
Just a lot of cat wiener.
That cat's a girl.
I can't tell.
We both saw Hellfest. This is, like Taylor says, the new slasher. It's out in theaters about a couple kids that go to a theme park, a horror-themed kind of theme park, traveling, what would you call it?
It's basically it's like a traveling horror show, they're basically just like a traveling horror park.
Yeah,
like those things you see billboards for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But turns out, oh no, one of the things in the park is a real killer, and he's out for some killings.
Yeah, someone snuck into the park to do a murder. A couple murders if he can have his way.
Can he? Watch the movie and find out. I thought this movie was fine. I thought...
I went into this with, bar fucking zero expectations. It was more just my friend and I wanted to hang out, and so we decided to see this. And I kind of thought, obviously the reviews for this aren't terribly positive, but I kind of had fun with it. I thought it was decent.
It's fun. It's a fun movie. I think my main problem with it is that it tries too hard to make the kids super cool and super funny and relatable and stuff.
Only one. There was only one that I was like.
Which one was it? Were you having the most problems with?
What's her fucking name? Taylor. That was her name. The cool short-haired one.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
The super witty, super chatty.
Yeah, she annoyed me a lot.
That one is the one that I was on. That was the one I was most like, oh fuck.
Wait, are they cool though? And you guys are just nerds?
Well, I liked the two leads. One of them is a lead very shortly. He seems like he's gonna be a co-lead with the main girl, but then
but then that boy died nasty.
he I don't want to spoil it too much, but don't get too attached to him. I thought he was the best one, and I was kind of disappointed that he actually bit the bullet so quick. That being said, though, there are a couple of pretty gnarly kills in this thing that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, it's more brutal than I was anticipating going in. So that was obviously kind of, and that's always kind of a delightful surprise to me. Don't know what that says about me.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be more sanitized than it was. But I guess I didn't realize it was rated R going in, which I don't know why I wouldn't have realized that. It's like a slasher movie. But there's some inherent fun just in the premise that I feel like it's probably hard to mess a lot of this up, really.
Yeah, like mess it up fully.
But like, I do like stuff that's set in like theme park haunted houses, especially horror related stuff. Like obviously, it's particularly like the first thing that comes to mind is the scene in The Guest at the very end.
Yeah. Like there's no moments in this movie that are distinctly scary. Like I wouldn't say that there are really any that are scary at all. Like, there's not one moment watching this movie that I was like, ooh, I'm actually on edge. More I was just like, oh, this is more fun than I anticipated I'd be having.
It's a good Halloween season trip to the theater to watch a couple of kids get killed.
Yeah, I mean, just, your good, family-friendly, fun kill trip.
Ending was dumb. Dumb ending.
Okay, I saw that in your letterbox review. Didn't hate it.
Really?
Kind of was like, interesting. I kind of like. I mean, maybe my expectations were so fucking low on this movie that every time something happened, I was just like, I'm better than I thought. And I think that was kind of the wave I rode throughout the movie, which is funny because like score wise, I think I scored this and like Hold the Dark like right around the same. But I talked about Hold the Dark so much more negatively because I was like actually genuinely had expectations and really wanted to like it. Same with like Assassination Nation. This film was just like, this is probably gonna be bullshit. But I was like, oh, you know what? It was fun and largely not too much bullshit.
Well, yeah, it's all about your perspective. If you're like if you're like really anticipating a movie and it turns out to just be okay, you're gonna be way more negative on it. But then like this, not expecting too much and it turns out to be kind of fun. Well, yeah, I like it.
But like, it's the same with the ending. Like I was like, okay, I mean that's like whatever. It's not like
I mean, like obviously, like it's nothing that was like, well, now the movie's really bad. It did remind me of Trick or Treat, though. The ending,
like the movie, or just that sequence?
The very last scene. It reminded me of that one part in Trick or Treat. And that's all I really have to say about it.
I mean, it's same. It pretty much wraps up that too.
So there you have it, folks. Hellfest. Maybe see it. Maybe don't. They seem to set your expectations at a reasonable bar, and maybe it'll be pretty good. But now we're going to talk about They Live. After the jump. After you hear this little trailer, we're going to talk about They Live. It was released in 1988. Back in the era of Nintendo and CDs.
The same year Die Hard came out.
Same year Die Hard came out. Y'all like CDs?
I like CDs. Do y'all like DVDs?
CDs nuts.
You got me.
Our masters! What do these things want, and why are they here?
You still don't get it, do you, boy?
They have recruited the rich and the powerful.
They're running the whole show.
Wake up! They're all about you, all around you.
I guess we're just going to go right into it. Hey, everybody, we're back. It's your three boys. We're back to talk They Live. John Carpenter's They Live. John Carpenter's They Live, released in 1988. John Carpenter's They Live, released in 1988, written by Ray Nelson and John Carpenter. John Carpenter's They Live, released in 1988, written by Ray Nelson and John Carpenter, starring Roddy Piper, Keith David, and Meg Foster.
Why did you repeat it? Did you keep messing up? I didn't even notice.
No, I just kept adding on. The movie is about a drifter, an unnamed drifter, played by Roddy Piper.
He has a name.
No, he's just Nada. He's called Nada.
Like, as Nada. That's true.
Oh, I thought that was just his name.
No, like, I read that it's like John Nada, like nothing. Nada means nothing in Spanish.
Well, yeah, I know that, but I just didn't even put that together.
The film's about a drifter. He discovers a pair of sunglasses that allow him to wake up to the fact that aliens have taken over the Earth. I guess we can just kind of get right into it. What did you guys think about the movie? Because after watching it myself, I was like, I'm kind of interested to see where you guys sit.
I'll let Taylor go first since he's seen it prior to this.
Yeah, I've seen it. I saw it first a couple years ago. And yeah, I mean, we're watching it recently. I think this movie is like a lot of fun. Like, I think this movie I think this movie is a lot of fun, but it has social subtext and context that still, is still relevant, today, 30 years on. Yeah, I just think that it strikes this, it strikes that good balance, in the realm of like the John Carpenter, filmography, or at least what I've seen. Because honestly, there's a lot of John Carpenter I haven't seen. Of what I've seen, I'd rank it, maybe middle, not middle tier. I don't know. I mean, I think this movie's fun. Like that's the thing for me is like I think that this movie is completely aware of what it is, but still has the ability to tackle, like, have something to say and tackle a subject like this in a fun, tongue-in-cheek way. I feel like it kind of juggles a bit of a tonal balance where, like, it doesn't fully go, like, goofy until, probably, like, after the halfway point. When, like, Roddy Piper really starts just hamming it up on the one-liners, and, like, it almost strikes, I feel like, a more self-serious tone during its first half. And I think it might end slightly abruptly. Like actually, I mean, it ends incredibly abruptly.
We'll talk more about that final shot. I think it's very interesting.
The final shot, yeah, but just the general, how the plot progression to it takes a while to get going. It's a build up of a movie, but for me, it's just, it's not a movie that I like hold with incredible reverence, but I think it's really fun. Like, it's a movie that I could feel like if someone would turn on, I could always just sit and watch this.
To touch on what Taylor said a little bit, first of all, I like the movie a lot, actually. I think it's a really cool movie. I think this movie
it's a very cool movie.
Yeah, I think it handles itself with, like, it just feels like cool. It, like, I wanted to touch on what Taylor said about the first half, or I would say like the first like 20 or 30 minutes or so, and how they kind of handle themselves. And how if you turned this movie on and you caught like the first 20 to 30 minutes, it seems like a very like down to earth, like kind of social political drama about poverty in the United States, which it kind of is. And then it would be incredible for someone who didn't know what they were getting into to like keep watching and get into the second half and just see how off the wall it goes. Like the first half almost seems, the first like 20 minutes or so seem almost like very meditative almost, and just kind of generally just kind of quiet. And then I love how eventually it turns into this weird mesh between like a sci-fi horror movie with the muscular action hero of the 80s who's spouting the one-liners and shooting everybody with and is sweaty and dirty.
Yeah, like it kind of like how we talked earlier about how Die Hard doesn't or it kind of doesn't allow itself to fully embrace that. Like this movie obviously fully fucking does.
Yeah.
This is just full with all the one-liners, and yeah, but I actually, that's a good note about like, but it still is like this like B-50s kind of sci-fi horror in the same time. It does a lot of juggling with tone, but I think it pulls it off like pretty successfully.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Where are you at on this movie, Jay?
Yeah, well, so I think it's funny that we talked a lot about expectations in the first half of the episode, because I can't help but feel that my expectations and previous biases about this movie really colored how I saw it. So, like, as you were just talking about, I was thinking, what if I put this movie on in front of someone who didn't understand what it was, or know what it was about, or know what it was supposed to be doing? How would they feel about the way the movie just kind of ramps up? So, for me, I really liked the first 30 minutes, and I was like, this is good. This is good for a different reason than I thought this movie was going to be good. And I think it helps set it up as, like, this is just a good kind of introduction, and it's patient, and it's taking its time, which is kind of nice. It's just building a nice little world for us, and it's building a nice environment. So my expectation of it being all what the second half is was kind of like a nice surprise at the beginning, the way it took its time. My wife, funny enough, she was a little upset that she didn't get to continue to watch it with me because I kind of like paused after that first 30 minutes and fell asleep last night. Not because it was boring, I was just really tired. And then I watched the second half like before she had an opportunity to. But she was really into that first half, and then in seeing, I stopped right when he first puts on the sunglasses, and she was interested to see where it was going to go. So my inclination is that it does work for other people, and I think it does a great job once that turn happens to going, okay, where's this movie going to go? What's going to happen? Like, this is interesting. And I think stylistically too, the way, the fonts that are used, which heavily influence the guy who started the Obey brand. He uses that same sort of style and that same font. The guy who designed the Obama Hope sign as well. And then I think Tracy put a note here about the decision to make like kind of a drive-in 50s B movie in the world of the sunglasses. I think those are really cool stylistic choices. And something else that we can talk about a bit later on is Roddy Piper is actually pretty good in this. Like I think this is really good casting. In my head, I thought, oh, it's going to be good despite him. But I think what he displayed as his time as a wrestler is a guy able to really make you feel for him and really have you understand the kind of harsh anger he's having, but also do it in such an overdramatic tone where it still feels lighthearted and it still feels kind of jokey. And I think it's placed really well here. And for John Carpenter to seek him out is such a smart decision. I also have not seen any other John Carpenter movie except for my favorite horror film of all time, Halloween. I think that's very interesting.
This is a weird movie in contrast to Halloween now that I think about it. Just because of the focus on like the action movie tones that are in here as well. It's not a straight up horror movie. It's much, I consider this in my head to be much more action influenced.
Yeah.
But I do think it has a very interesting juggle of tone within it. And I do think that Roddy Piper is incredible in the movie, actually. I think that's like genius casting for what this movie goes for. And you mentioned that what I put in the notes about the world through the sunglasses being like this 50s B movie kind of drive-in, like sci-fi show almost, complete with like the flying saucers and everything's in black and white and everything like that. The movie handles this tone of being somewhat absurd. And that's why I forgive the political commentary of it being very, very on the nose, like very plain in sight, because I think it kind of helps. I think that kind of helps the absurdity almost.
Yeah, I feel like this movie, I don't know, for me, like what makes it, or kind of almost what helps it juggle all these kind of different tones it's trying to capture at once and put on display, including like the political subtext, is that it's almost so on the nose that it's not like subtext, you know? Like it's so quite literally in your face.
It's obvious to the point that it's comical, and that adds like.
But I don't think it would work if they tried to be subtle with it, you know? Like
no. This is not the movie. I like the decision that it's
just abrasive.
Yeah, that it's so abrasive. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and I was the other thing that I feel like we have to discuss here is the standout action brawl out between Keith David and Roddy Piper.
Yes.
In the alleyway.
I think that helps lean. That's like when it's going full on leaning into kind of how silly it is.
Yeah.
But it's not shot in a silly way necessarily. It feels like just a normal fight, and then I think the funny part is that it just keeps going.
But the extent of it, yeah.
It's a very genuine fight scene in the movie, and like pretty hard hitting too. Like these dudes are beating the shit out of each other. But it is funny that it just keeps going. Every time I thought it was over, one of them got back up and just started going back after the other one. It is a super extended fight scene, and I thought it was hilarious how long it went on. But even funnier is that out of context of the movie is that these dudes are beating the shit out of each other because Roddy Piper really wants Keith David to put these sunglasses on. Which I think that's hilarious. And I think that's supposed to be part of the joke of it too. And the fact that like you see this entire world through fucking sunglasses just seems kind of like a big joke to me of the movie. And I like it. I think it comes across as being extremely tongue in cheek, actually, while having these very real world themes and tones and political overtones that kind of carry the movie.
I think that fight scene it also helps encapsulate this strange idea. Not even strange idea, just like really pinpoints the fact that this movie is on a tightrope of tone the entire time. And I mean, I'm glad I'm on the side that really loves what it's doing, but I could easily see how someone else thinks it's like stupid and isn't good, because that fight scene, it's very ridiculous, and it's easy to get on board right at the beginning when just like Keith David's just like, fuck you, I'm not wearing them. And just like his arms, like, cause he's like thick, but not super fit. So his arm, like thigh meat is kind of jiggling a little bit when he does the stuff. And like him and Roddy are just like beefy boys. And each time they're hitting each other, it's like really loud over the top sound effects, slow plodding punches. They're falling on the ground, breathing as if it's an elongated wrestling match. And there's even a moment when like Roddy Piper throws the 2x4 and breaks the glass. He's like, oh man, whoa. Like he kind of freaks out, but then they keep going a little bit longer. And it's just like a grasp of kind of Carpenter understanding that this only works because they're both really beefy boys. Like that's part of why it's kind of fun too, is because they are moving slow. Everything feels so deliberate. It's testing your patience, but that's kind of funny. It feels almost like the alt comedy podcast Trace has had me listen to, where the joke is we're going for 3 minutes longer than we need to be going right now, and that's funny.
Which podcast is that? Or just any alt comedy podcast that I listen to?
I'm just like, maybe it's you talking you two to me. I don't know. Or something, anything with Harris Whittles back in the day.
Oh!
Where like the joke is he just keeps saying the joke.
Yeah. It was probably Analyze Fish. I remember I had you listen to an episode where Harris took Scott to a Fish concert, and I was laughing hysterically because Scott said something along the lines of, that is funky, and you did not understand why I thought it was funny.
But it feels like something that the director completely understands, and a certain few people are going to completely understand, and that's okay. It's for those people.
Yeah, it's definitely for a particular crowd. It seems like maybe a very narrow crowd of people who can kind of tune into the wavelength of it. I do like how quickly, after Keith David gets the sunglasses on, he's like, oh, well, fuck, this. He wasn't lying about this. I like how quickly Roddy Piper kind of catches on to it, too. Like, he doesn't spend a whole lot of time kind of doubting what he's seeing, really. Not long after he gets the sunglasses on, he realizes, oh shit! Of course this makes perfect sense. This is what
his reaction's almost like, of course.
Yeah, of course.
This shit.
And then he, like, very soon after, he starts just massacring them publicly. And something else that was interesting to me about the movie is kind of how small of a scale it's really on. If you kind of look at the movie in the big picture, not much really happens in it, which I think is interesting. Like, you have the 30-minute setup, and you have Roddy get the sunglasses, and after that, really, like, he kills some of them. He goes, what happens between the time that he kills some of them and that girl. Yeah, the Holly. Yeah. Holly is the one character that I think is a little bit pointless in this movie. But he meets Holly. He loses the sunglasses. He gets some back, has the fight with Keith David, gets him on his side, and then they go and take down the rest of the crew at the news station. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, they take down the news station to expose, or at least expose the city, I guess, at the very least.
Yeah.
To everyone.
And I just think it's very interesting how kind of almost sort of low-key, maybe not low-key, but just small scale. Just like how just kind of, I guess, local that it stays. It doesn't go very far.
I do think, though, this is just one of the problems I have with the movie, because it's not flawless, but like in that latter half, in the latter like last 30, I feel that, especially in comparison to the first 30, it tries to do a lot really quickly. Almost too quickly. I wish it would have like done more, there's a scene where a character from the very beginning pops back up, and it took me a few, like a good solid 2 minutes to kind of figure out where I'd seen him before. And maybe this is because I had seen the first 30 of the day before or the morning before. But I didn't know why they knew him. And because they introduced the concept of contact lenses and not sunglasses, so Roddy Piper doesn't have to wear sunglasses the whole time. That if they don't cut in a way that I understand that this guy is an alien, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I think there it's kind of doing a little bit too much too quickly, and it starts to kind of fall off a little bit.
I actually didn't totally recognize that guy either at first. I was trying to remember, wait, how do we know this dude? And it's for the same reason, is the whole fact that we're no longer really able to distinguish the aliens apart from regular humans. I did think the contact lenses was kind of an ingenious way to get the sunglasses off of them for the rest of the movie. But you are right, Jay, that the 30 minutes, they do try to cram a lot in the last 30 minutes versus the first 30, which is very deliberately slow paced and kind of, like I said before, meditative a little bit almost. Mm-hmm. And then this one is just the final part of the film is just so chock full with shit.
I was rapid fire, like actually at a point, like at the end, I had to pause it quickly. I just had a phone call, and I was like pausing. I was like, oh, okay, like just I hadn't seen the movie in a few years, so I kind of forgot all the beats. And it's like, getting like where kind of rooftop, right, kind of where they're about to start shooting, where he's about to shoot the station, and kind of get, and Meg Foster's character shows up, and like I'm pausing it, and I'm like, okay, like you're kind of gearing up for this this is like the third act showdown. This is, gonna be at least 15-20 minutes left. I pause it. There's 5 minutes, including credits. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm like literally almost through with this thing.
I had the same experience, actually. I paused it to see how much was left, and I was like, oh shit, there's like 10 minutes left in this thing. It's almost over. I think it could have stood to be I think it actually could have stood to be 15 to 20 minutes longer.
Yeah.
There's so much to explore. Like they introduce at the end, sort of like as if the aliens are their own political party.
Yeah.
And they see the humans as like an issue, and it seems like something that should be explored. And then they show like this teleportation sequence sort of thing, and it made me confused. Like, are they in space now? I don't understand.
I was also confused by that. I thought they were in space, but then like they were just at the news station. I was confused by the fact that we saw space through the window.
Well, unless they had like some kind of portal to space set up in the news station, because obviously the watches are like a form of teleportation.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe it was just like a visual aid, so they knew where they were going.
Yeah.
This is your destination.
But you are right. And then they get to the news station, and there's a few weird cuts here. I think the editing's kind of bad in some of the action, where at the beginning, there's a moment at the beginning where Roddy Piper's cornered by cops, and he gets knocked down. It cuts for a second, like a split second, and cuts back to him shooting someone, and it's kind of just jarring for the eyes to see. And then in the hallways with Keith David, when they're shooting, they keep making these weird cut to the point of the gun, like the tip of the gun, and they do that like 3 times, and I don't think it's a good choice. I don't understand why they keep doing it. It's very just strange. It's a strange decision to make, I think. And I get, like, I understand why Carpenter does it in, say, something like Halloween, because those moments feel quieter and it feels almost like intense if you point on the weapon. But in this, since it's happening so quickly, it just is almost sort of jarring when he decides to cut to the gun real quick and then back to the action.
Actually, I noticed that too, actually. Just some weird editing choices in some of the action. Yeah, some of it's a little bit jarring. But for the most part, I think a lot of the action is filmed like competently. Like, I guess I never think of John Carpenter as being an action director. Has John Carpenter done any other like super action based movies?
Well, I haven't seen these. That's what I mentioned when I said I haven't seen. There's a lot of John Carpenter I haven't seen, but like The Escape from New York.
Okay,
Escape
true.
from LA.
Okay, yeah.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. These are actually all very obvious.
Yeah.
Have you seen Assault on Precinct 13?
No, but I want to see that.
I haven't seen that either. I did watch Vampires with James Woods recently because it's on Shudder,
How was that?
and one of the Baldwins who is not Alec. It's not the strongest effort in John Carpenter's au revoir, but it's a movie.
Looking through his IMDb, just from what I've heard from others, it looks like They Live's on the tail end of like the prime output because it's Assault, Halloween, The Fog, Escape, The Thing, Christine, Starman, Big Trouble, Prince of Darkness, and then They Live.
You know, actually,
and then after that comes Escape from LA and Vampires.
I have seen it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to walk through. I'm just going to on the podcast here figure out how many John Carpenter movies I've seen.
I've seen 3 for the record. I've seen Halloween, this, and I've seen The Fog.
Okay,
yeah, this is my second one.
This is your second.
I'm at, like John I love Halloween so much, and I love his musical output that I'm really surprised at myself that I have not gone out of my way to see more of his films. Because I feel like even this, which I feel is like one of his less focused features, I'd say, is still really fun for me.
Yeah. I did not realize, I just didn't realize John Carpenter directed Christine, which I haven't seen. Wait, I've seen Halloween, I've seen The Fog, I've seen Halloween, The Fog, The Thing, Prince of Darkness, They Live, In the Mouth of Madness, Vampires.
You've seen quite a bit, Taylor.
So I've seen a good number of his movies, but there's a lot I still haven't seen. Like, I haven't seen Big Trouble. I haven't seen either of the Escape movies. I haven't seen Christine. Haven't seen Assault on Precinct 13. Yeah, I'm about middle of the road there. I'm about middle of the way through.
This movie does feel like John Carpenter was just kind of letting loose for a movie. It feels like very loose. It feels like he was kind of just doing whatever he wanted. But how do y'all feel about Roddy Piper dying at the end?
I think it makes sense.
It does.
It feels like a callback to just those kind of like lone drifter type movies where they're just in to end up saving something, but they don't necessarily matter. The same way, I know he doesn't die at the end, but the same way Max in Mad Max Fury Road, it's like not his story necessarily. It's like he does an action, and if he's dead or not, it doesn't matter because he completed his mission.
Yeah.
That does lead us into like the final minute of the movie.
Hold on, I do love how he flips off the camera. It's so silly. Something about just like the way he does it is just goofy because they hold on him for so long and he just slowly pulls up the middle finger.
Yeah. He does do it very slow. Yeah, it's kind of I'm not sure if that part's supposed to be intentionally funny or not. Just how slowly he pulls it up, and the fact that it's like he's almost not even doing it. Like
it's a very limp middle finger.
But then we get to the final like minute of the movie, which is just the aliens being revealed to the public,
which I think is really fun. It's because you don't spend too much time with everything. It's kind of interesting to think that there's that scene in the bar when everyone's watching TV, and then they turn to the alien and go like, "What the fuck is what?" He's not reacting. He's just like very still.
Yeah. It's very funny. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to understand John Carpenter's reasoning.
For the very last shot?
For the very last shot, and just for this whole, like, final sequence to be so short and to only be, like, 1 or 2 minutes. But also, yes, the very last shot, which is one of the aliens having sex with this girl who realizes that it is an alien, and he's laying there, and he says something to the effect of, "What's the matter, baby?" Cut to credits.
But it's fun.
I thought it was hilarious.
It's really funny. It's a really funny note to end the movie out on.
I want to know what he was thinking when he ended it like that. Like, was it like one final punchline to him? Which I guess it works that way. I assume most people probably watch this movie, get to the ending, and then are probably upset with the movie. It doesn't exactly give you a sense of closure, but I do think it is funny.
It gives you, I think you get the sense of closure not on, sorry, Bill, close the mic. You get the sense of closure not so much on maybe the greater scope of the narrative, but I think it feels appropriate for how contained the general scope of the story is. And also, you do to the kind of the end of the arc of Roddy Piper. Because ultimately, you come in with him in the movie, and you go out with him having exposed at least Los Angeles to these alien kind of oppressor figures. And, obviously the movie doesn't, exactly lead... I mean, you're curious to know, what happens after the aftermath of this reveal, but I think that the movie, you still get a closure, you just get a closure of his arc.
I do like the way it ends. When it cut to credits, I laughed out loud. I thought it was hilarious that it decided to end just like that. And I think
apparently John Carpenter had final cut on the film. So
he did.
All of these are just his straight up choices.
I do think that final moment kind of encapsulates kind of the overall tone of the movie and kind of the absurdity of it all. So I do think it works in that sense.
It's funny juxtaposing the beginning of the movie with the end of the movie.
I was thinking about that. If the beginning and the end are two totally different movies.
I also love how the lady, she doesn't freak out. You don't see her freak out. Something about that's just kind of, I don't know, kind of extra funny for me, because I feel like any other movie has her kind of scream or react in any sort of way. So I like to imagine that she's just like, well, it's okay.
It's fine. I mean, I guess this is obvious, but this movie would only work under John Carpenter doing it. All the choices he made are the only reason this movie is not a mess of itself. And kind of an incompetent imbalance of tone and weird B-movie isms and absurdity. It all works very well with itself. And John Carpenter was really smart with all of the choices that he made in regard to the aesthetics and the casting. And we haven't even talked about the famous one-liner, which comes from this movie, which me and my girlfriend were both surprised to learn when it came up. I was surprised that line caught on so heavily from this movie.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Yeah.
Or whatever the exact line is. Yeah, it's funny because, when you, watch just the movie, and it just kind of comes and it goes.
Yeah.
And it's funny to me but
this also just doesn't seem like the movie where, that would... I guess I just didn't expect something so lasting to come from this movie. Or something, because that's used in, a bunch of shit now.
Well, if anything, if you kind of look at the movie at that moment, that's the moment the movie goes, fuck it, we're just going to do it.
Yeah.
Because you think about the line, too. The line doesn't fit quite with what the movie's doing up until that point.
Definitely.
Because up until that point, it's 75-80% slow, patient, and it's even still Roddy Piper slowly reacting to everything. When he delivers that line, he just starts shooting random people. People starts chasing him, and it's just action for the last 45 minutes, I think, at that point. So the line's funny. I think the line's really funny, and that's how I've always known this movie, because it was taken by Duke Nukem, and I had traced it back a long time ago. But I think it's just because it sticks out as the moment the movie decides to do what it wants to do. And Trace, to what you said about only John Carpenter could do this movie, I think things like that get said a lot about different movies, but this feels so much that seems like it rings true, because if you look at John Carpenter's filmography up to this point, he just had so many great movies that still live on today and have such a big appreciation for them, that I feel like he built up so much clout and the ability to have final cut in this movie too, to really use that how he does in this movie. I think that doesn't happen as often. We don't see directors have so many strings of successes in what they're trying to achieve that someone just hands them the reins in this fashion. And sort of they're willing to try things to the point where they do just mix and mash tones like this.
This movie does feel like a lot of experimentation was going on, with just seeing what he could get out of kind of putting these different tones together and making like making the 80s action movie that it wanted to make, but also making this like the weird horror sci-fi show that it is in certain segments. We haven't mentioned this, but I think the aliens look fucking cool. I think
they really do. They're cool.
I love the way they look, especially when that everything's in black and white. They look really, really cool.
It reminded me of the game Destroy All Humans, like those aliens a little bit.
Oh yeah. But we might have reached our peak of talking. They live here. Taylor,
all in all, I'll go first real quick. All in all,
Jay.
Being the second movie that I've ever seen from John Carpenter, and his first one, the first one I had seen being one of my all-time favorite movies, this had a lot to live up to, and I don't want to say it necessarily lived up to that high bar, but it kind of saw the bar. It kind of took it and put it a little bit lower on its own and jumps over it and goes, I got it. Good enough. And it kind of has that ball. Like what I'm saying is it has balls to do what it wants to do and say, fuck your bar. This is my movie. And I kind of love it for that. I love that it feels very much like a director making these decisions, having the clout to do it, and kind of being able to manage and tiptoe on this tightrope of tone that he's drummed up. And both types of movies that it ends up being are good in their own right. And I don't know. He made really good use of Roddy Piper. That was one of the biggest things I've been most surprised about, how good I think Piper is in this movie.
Yeah, that's actually just a counter to one of my final thoughts too. Like, yeah, that really is a thing that fainting, and as far as other movies I've seen that feature wrestlers, which I guess is a few movies actually. This is the movie that probably has gotten like the best actual performance that truly like it's the character, it fits the character, and it's like it's not. There's nothing like distracting about this kind of like his performance here, like other than like what's on purpose and like what's very overtly there. Like this is truly, yeah, this is like a great performance for the movie from Roddy Piper. And I think as far as stuff I've seen, the stuff I have seen from John Carpenter, this is like one of his that's working on the most like pure entertainment levels, but in a much more successful way than say another one I've seen like Vampires, which is kind of lackluster, but works on that same level. I'm kind of realizing one that, if someone would just ever want to just like turn this on and watch it, I could sit there and I could just watch this, because it's just a lot of fun. This movie's just a whole lot of fun to me. And I love that, like, and how you said it kind of tiptoes. I love that it doesn't really, I don't tiptoe on anything here. This movie's just fucking in your face and abrasive and just lets it be what it is. And I agree that, like, you're not going to get, someone like Carpenter having final cut is how you get a movie like this made. And I don't think you could get a movie like this made in this modern age. I think this movie is of its time, but I still think it is relevant today.
Oh, this movie could never get made today. It's interesting because I didn't know anything about this movie when watching it, except I saw the poster, I saw John Carpenter directed it, and that was about it. So I didn't know really what I was expecting going into it. Like I guess mostly I was expecting more horror fare from it, and so what I got from it, and just how weird it is, and how it's totally not that at all, surprised me, and I really dug it. And yeah, I think, like Taylor mentioned, like this really couldn't get made in the way that it was today. And it really is kind of just John Carpenter just going all out and doing whatever he wants, because like Jay said, like he had kind of hit that peak, and he had that power, and he was just able to make this movie in the vein that he wanted it to. And lucky enough, he had the talent to be able to pull it off in the way that he does. So yeah, I really enjoyed this movie.
Good job, John. Good job.
Thank you, John.
What a good director. What a talented man. Who would have thought he could do this? Make such a good movie.
Well, that's another episode in the books, folks. As always, I am at your buddy John on Twitter and Letterboxd. Trace?
I am Trace Sever on Twitter and Letterboxd, Instagram. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we never really shared our Instagrams here. I'm at.
They don't got to see me.
I mean, yeah, it's whatever. I don't post about the show anyway. So
If you want to see stuff that is exclusively my private life, go to Instagram.
yeah, I'm at Taylor Dvorsky on Twitter and Letterboxd as well, or not as well because Trace isn't. Yeah, that's me. I'm on those platforms at Taylor Dvorsky.
And don't forget, next week we'll be discussing John Wick. So be sure to check out that film beforehand, and I haven't done this before, but go on iTunes, leave a 5-star review.
Yeah, leave a fucking review, please.
Coward, you cowards, review us, cowards.
If you've heard more than one episode of this show, you must obviously like something about it. So why not just act like that's the only thing this show offers and give us 5 stars and just like rave on that?
And
Someone said we blew their asshole away. So you don't even have to say anything nice. Just put 5 stars.
That's actually true. Someone did say we blew their butthole away. Also,
I think they meant that in a nice way.
Go follow the fucking Twitter handle at Obligatory Pod. Y'all are fucking killing me.
Come on, guys. Do better.
I hope that we just get more aggressive as these episodes go on.
For all we've given you, what are you doing for us?
We're going to start picking out individual listeners and insulting them in some fashion.
So send us your emails so we can harass you until you give us a review.
We need the reviews. Please. Just write something. Please don't just give it a star rating. Like, write something. Just say, just write the word good. I like this. Now this is a podcast.
I like that. Obligatory.
Or you could just write a completely neutral description of the show and say, this is a podcast where 3 boys try to talk about movies but goof off. And don't offer any opinions. Leave the 5 stars, too.
Just explain what you got out of it. Say what it was to you.
Just explain what the show is.
Your Obligatory Movie Podcast. Now that's a podcast.
And that, folks, was an episode.
Like J. Cole, you bust a nut in math class, and you're like, oh shit, what am I going to do with this oyster? And then you put a hairdryer on your crotch.